All right, so for this lesson, I want to continue on with chi-squared tests when using two-way tables. So last lesson, we used a two-way table to conduct a chi-squared test, and remember we had to use, essentially we had to turn one of the columns in the table into a percentage column. Okay, I want to look at a little more complicated two-way table because they're not always going to be, like 2x2s. Sometimes they can be more. So what we're going to go over today is a problem that involves a more complicated two-way table and how to conduct a chi-square test when there are more elements in the table. Okay. So for our example here, let's just say there's a therapist who's testing whether or not anger levels relate to coronary heart disease. He thinks that anger and heart disease are not linked. So somebody takes a study of 8,474 people to test his claim. And here is the data from that study. So we can see here are the people who had CHD. There were 190 in total. And here were the people with no CHD. CHD is coronary heart disease. All right, so we're essentially going to see if CHD is linked with anger levels. All right, so we want to conduct a chi-square test on this. First, we need to find expected values. As usual, that's the main part of the chi-square test, where we need to put in the most work. So we can actually use the same method from the last video. The only difference is that now we have 3 columns instead of 2. This doesn't really change the way we find expected values, so I just want to show you that it's all the same, even though the table is a little more complicated than the last one. You can see now that there are 3 main columns and 2 rows, where last time there were only 2 columns and 2 rows. So even though there's more stuff in the table, we can still do it exactly the same way. All right, so first I want to find the proportion of people who have CHD. Essentially what that is doing is that is just turning this column into a percentage column, exactly like we did last time. So down here with my expected value table, I'm going to turn this column into the percentage column. So we know that, of course, 100 is the max amount of percent that you can have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this total column the same. So I want to get these 3 numbers, and I'm going to put them right where they were, because those 3 won't change. All right, so percentage. Find the proportion of people who have CHD. So that's working with this column. What I'm going to do is take the 190 people who have CHD and divide it by the total number of people in the survey. So 190 divided by 8,474. That will give me the total proportion of people who have the disease. Okay? So that ends up coming out to 2.2%. So in your expected value table, you would put 2.2% for CHD under the percentage column. All right, so if 2.2% of people have CHD, that means that 97.8% of people don't have it, okay? Because if these are the people with it, the other percentage of people don't have it, which is 97.8. Now you're going to find these missing values in the exact same way we did last video. So to find the low, people with low anger that have CHD, what you're going to do is you're going to take 2.2% and multiply that by the total number of people who have low anger. So 3,110. And that will give you the number of people we should expect to have CHD with low anger. So that is 69.7. So 69.7 people should have CHD and low anger. I'm actually going to round that up to 70.